everybody. Welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie, Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie, Jessica. I'm outstanding in my field.
Yes. Yes, you are. Okay, so today is another Convincing My Bestie to Read video. And what we've decided to do with this one is kind of like what we did at the end of the year with convincing the other one to read some of our favorites. But we've chosen 6 books each off of our 2023 favorite list that the other has not read that we want them to read. And that's what we're going to do. So we're doing this duel again, just this one time. And then I promise we're going to go back to the normal single times. But so that's what we're going to do. We're going to try and get the other one to read a book off of our list.
Yes. So these are books from our 23, like you said. So the top 23 of 23. But they're the ones that each other have not read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're kind of sporadic from that list.
Yes. Yeah. And what we didn't do on our top of 2023 video is say how many books we read for the year. So we'll just tell them now. So how many books did you read in 2023?
387.
Okay, I read 470. So these are the top of the top. Like these are our favorites. So
I challenge you to read 487 next year.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
I challenge myself to read 387. So I challenge you to read 100 more books than me.
Okay. When you put it like that, that makes the competitive side of me come out. So.
I know. I can't wait.
I know. Okay, so here's the other thing. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, Mandy.
Yes, hit that subscribe button because we give away free books on our channel and you don't want to miss out. And make sure you follow us on Instagram. All of our info is linked below.
Mm-hmm. Definitely down there. Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to give you your 6 first.
Okay.
And then we'll swap. Okay.
Yes.
And then at the end, we'll decide what books we're going to read.
And make sure to comment which out of our books are you going to read.
Yeah.
Or are you putting on your TBR? Make sure to do that.
Okay. So, ready?
I hope so.
Me too. Me too. Okay, so the first book that I have for you is Veiled in Hate by BJ Alpha.
Okay, I don't have to read any of her other books to be able to read this?
Okay. No, I mean, if you wanted to read Shaw beforehand, we see Luca in that book a little bit, and we see how ruthless he is. But I think you can get the gist. You don't have to read it to read this. I don't think you're missing out on anything. So no, you can just read this one. So this is about Luca and Camille. So Luca and Camille are both Italian mafia, and they're in rival families. He's a capo. He's not the Don. He's a capo for his family, but his sister was murdered a few years prior, and she is believed to have been murdered by the rival family, and specifically Camille's twin brother. And so he started a war between the families to avenge his sister. And now both of the Dons of both of these families are fed up. They're done. They're like, you and Camille are getting married and you are going to put this war to rest. We're done. Well, he hates Camille. He believes that her twin brother murdered his sister, and she blames him for the war that killed many people in her family as well as her brother. And so they both they loathe each other. And like he even says how he, even though they're supposed to have an heir, he won't mix his blood with hers. He is not nice to her. He is a ruthless mafia man. So it's so good. Okay. Love that asshole. Okay. So then I have another one for you that was a recent read of mine, and it's dark as well. Shocker, I know. I keep having to go off camera to grab the books. Okay, Take Me With You by Nina G. Jones. All right, so this is the story of Vesper and Sam. Sam has had some trauma. Sam doesn't really speak, and he had a really hard time growing up. And the way that he expresses himself now is he went from being a peeping Tom to being a peeping Tom who breaks into people's houses and hurts people. Never kills them. He just assaults the woman. I mean, like, not like that's a good thing, but you know, yeah. And then leaves them. Like they tie up the guy, assault the woman. It's always a couple situation. So he sees Vesper. Vesper has a little brother who she helps take care of, and he has, I believe it was cerebral palsy. So he sees her in the grocery store one day and he just becomes obsessed with her. She is his next mark. She is a nursing student in California. This takes place in like 76 or something, 76 or 78. And so he sees her with the brother and the way that she cares and loves for the brother. And he just becomes obsessed with her. So she's also dating her longtime boyfriend. Is the only person she's been with. He is in medical school. And one night when he is casing her house and just watching her, he sees that the boyfriend has done something that makes him irate. And so he breaks into the house that night unprepared to do what he normally does. Things fall apart and she ends up saying, "Take me with you," so that he doesn't hurt anybody else in the house. And he takes her, he holds her captive for roughly a year. So good. A list of trigger warnings a mile long. Okay. We like it when they have that. All right. Then my next book. And this should come as no surprise because you really need to read it. Really, really need to read it. And that is the Mindfuck series by S.T. Abbey. So this is the story of Lana and Logan. Lana is a female serial killer. She has gone through some trauma. And when I say there is a trigger warning list in this one, a mile long, yes, there is. You have to check the triggers. But she has gone through some severe trauma that should never happen to anyone. And she's getting revenge on those who hurt her. So she is murdering them one by one. So then you have Logan, who's the FBI agent who is on her case. Now, they believe that this is a man doing these things, so he does not suspect Lana at all. And she and him, they meet very organically. She doesn't realize he's an FBI agent until it's too late and she's already starting to fall for him. And so there's like, how do you work that out? I mean, she's out here murdering people left and right, you know, and he's an FBI agent. So, but you find yourself rooting for Lana. I have never found myself rooting for someone to kill somebody else, but in this book I might have. Okay. Now, the next book that I have for you, that's the wrong one. You're not gonna be surprised about this either. Fear Me, Love Me by Lilith Vincent. This is the story of Tyrant. And I cannot remember her name, and I'm not sure where my book is with the notes. We're just going to go with this. So our female main character, her dad is not, he's a really crappy dad. And he is like, he's just not a good guy. Vivienne, her name is Vivienne. He's just not a good guy. He hasn't been there for her. She came to live with him when she was like 14 or something. And now she's in college. He doesn't really do anything for her. He's married to this ice queen now. They have a baby boy who's under a year old. And Tyrant is like, he's based off of Jareth from the Labyrinth. This book is like almost like a retelling, or it's based off of, there's a lot of Labyrinth feels to it. But he runs their town and he is this big crime dude. And her dad owes Tyrant money. So Tyrant comes and takes the baby brother. And then Vivienne goes to get the brother out. He makes her go through the maze. It's the whole thing. This, like I've said before, this is told in 3 different parts. You have present, then we go to the past and see how they met, and then we go back to the present. So you have to be okay with that. I know for some it's not the greatest, but I loved it and it didn't bother me at all. Tyrant just wants her. He becomes so obsessed with her. It is this is the like over the top possessive right here. This is what we write the book on right here. This guy, he really does belong in prison in real life, but that's okay. So there's that. Then okay. Then I have Time Out by Layla Simon. I know that you're going to love this one so much. This is the one that is Kai is our hero. I say that lightly. He's in prison. And then you have our heroine whose son is in prison with Kai. She is in her 40s. He is in his 20s. And she is headed to the prison one day. She's having to smuggle in some smack up blah, because her son's life has been threatened if she doesn't smuggle it into the prison. Well, she gets to the prison. There's a prison break, and Kai ends up abducting her and taking her on the run with him. He has to get the smack out of the snatch, and that is a fun scene right there. But it's that reverse age gap, and I loved this book. I loved this book, and this was the prison romance I was looking for. I mean, they weren't really in prison a lot, but it was still yep,
Okay.
yummy. Okay, and the very last one. Now, I know you like thick books, so I grabbed you one. Unseen Messages by Pippa Winters. This is my number one read for 2023. This is about Estelle and Galloway. This is about the unseen messages that you see along the way that like you ignore. Like, and by I say you, I mean Estelle. She's got all these messages as she's flying from the States back home to Australia, not to get on that plane. There's problems with the ticket. There's problems with, customs. Or TSA or whatever. There's problems when she goes to get on the plane. Like, there's all these warnings and she ignores them. And she meets a few other people along the way. And Galloway is headed down there as well. He has to go work in Fiji. He has to be there by a certain day. And so when the plane goes down and she and Galloway are on this island, how do you survive? They are not survivalists at all. So this is a survival romance. There's a few other characters. There's things. There's just, I love it. I've told you about it a billion times. Just go read it. So there's that. Okay. So those are your 6. So we're going to switch gears. You're going to tell me about my 6, and then we're going to decide and let the other one know what we're reading.
Okay. Jessica, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first book I have for you is called Irish Kiss by Sienna Blake. This is about Saoirse and...
Diarmuid.
Yeah, how'd you know?
Heard you talk about it a few times.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So she has just a horrible home life. Nobody pays attention to her. Mom is literally a whore and does that in the home. And so and she's drug addict. It's just really bad. And Saoirse has done everything she can to keep herself clean. And one night or after late evening, she meets up with some kids from school and they have pot, and the police come and they run, and she's left standing there with the pot. And she's never done anything like that, but she gets hauled in. Her mom won't come down to the station, and so things just look really bad for her. And she is assigned Dermot, who then is he has a specific name that they call him.
Yeah, it's not a correction or not a.
Yeah, it's different because it's in Irish, but it's in Ireland, so I'm not sure. But basically, he's like a parole officer, basically.
Yeah.
And he is assigned to her. He also had kind of a crappy home life growing up, and so he really feels for her. So he goes out of his way to keep her on the straight and narrow because he realizes she's quite intelligent. And so he's trying really hard to help her. So he does things that he shouldn't be doing that aren't bad things, but they're outside of what he's required to do to try and help her. And through this, they form a friendship and she forms a crush. And then he moves away and has her transferred to somebody else, and she is crushed. So then we fast forward. Her dad is out of prison and she's living with her dad, and she's doing things for her dad that she shouldn't be doing because her dad's involved in drugs and all that stuff. And she gets caught again. And she is with her dad now. So she's in a new place and she gets assigned him again. And at this point, there is definitely an attraction there. So we have taboo, we have age gap. It is so good. So good. There's a reason it was on my top 23. And when you think of how many books you and I read, if a book makes our top 23, it's really good.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All of my books are big books. I'm sorry. Okay, so then we have Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. This is about Angel. She is sold into prostitution as a child. Michael feels he's a farmer. He's a devout Christian. And he is in town selling some of his produce and getting supplies and things. And he sees Angel walking, and he feels God telling him, "This is your wife." And so he goes to the brothel with a bunch of money to buy her out of there. And Angel really just struggles because she has not been treated well most of her life. And so she really struggles to see why Michael would have any interest in her, and why God would care about her either. So this is a Christian book, but it is written so well. I know sometimes Christian romance books fall a little flat in their storyline or their plot, and this does not happen in this book at all. It is captivating, incredibly, incredibly good.
Okay.
Okay. And look how pretty the book is.
I know.
Okay. I have The 16th Need by Calla Reed. This is about Sable and Sam. This starts off with what you would think would be a cliche, but it is not written that way at all. After I read the book, I'm like thinking about the tropes, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was the trope. They meet because Sam plays football and he is not doing well in school, and Sable is quite smart, and she kind of gets forced into having to help Sam. This is how they meet. This is the wrong side of the track story. Sable is growing up in a trailer with a mother who is a drug addict and can't be trusted. And the people she brings home can't be trusted. So Sable and her two sisters share a bedroom, and they have to lock the door. They have to hide their things. And it's really, really not a good situation. And Sam has grown up in what we would call probably a privileged life, but just money isn't really a concern for their family, and there's plenty of love, and there's food and all of those things, where Sable and her sisters are the ones who are having to work to provide, for
Hmm.
themselves basically. So it's really quite heartbreaking in that respect. We start off though with Sam just coming back to town, and we don't know why their relationship has fallen apart. And this is us seeing why their relationship fell apart and if they can work things back out. It is written so well, and oh, I love it. It's really, really, really good.
Okay.
You really feel for the characters. Okay, then I have for you, I have no trust in my flags anymore. This is a duet. This is Untamed and Unruly. I have the bind up special edition from K Webster. So this also includes the really short novella Daddy Read. Have you read that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So that kind of just reminds us of what happened in the wild and sets us up for Untamed, which is the first one. It blah, blah, blah. It leaves on a cliffhanger, so you definitely want to have Unruly on hand ready to read.
Mm-hmm.
So this picks up with the family. The older kids are now quite a bit older. They're like early 20s teenagers at this point. And I've really tried to think about how I wanted to talk about this because I don't want to give any spoilers away. So I'm going to read a little bit from the back. Okay. So it says, all I need are my siblings. They're my best friends. Life is fun with them. Together, we're free in the wild. But the wilderness is also the home of predators, bears, bad weather, sickness, other people. We thought we could live alone and unmolested by the latter. We were so wrong. With their sudden presence, everything about our lives is challenged. Loyalties become twisted. Hearts get tangled in the chaos. Feelings and urges cross impossible lines there's no coming back from. Bewildering, depraved, perverted, dark, vile. My secret desires are wrong. They threaten everything I hold so dear. I could fight against it if I were alone in these forbidden thoughts. I'm not. We're in this together. Our love is untamed, and we are the unruly. So,
Okay.
if you've read The Wild, you know kind of
Yeah.
where this is headed.
Yep.
Definitely read The Wild first, though, before you come here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then, these books are big. I have The Lovely Return by Carrie Ann Cole. If you've not read this, I don't understand what's wrong with you.
Dude.
Okay, so this has reincarnation, it has age gap, it has slow burn, it has forbidden love. Carrie Ann Cole is known for that forbidden love age gap. She writes it very, very well. This is a very unique twist on that. I don't want to give too many spoilers away. We have Penny and Alex. Penny is a little girl when she shows up at Alex's house, and she knows things about the house, about Alex, that she really shouldn't know. And they form an unlikely bond that is not strictly like it's not anything gross or naughty or anything like that. It's strictly just a friendship bond at that point. And then when she's older, we see some things start to change there, and some different understandings and things of what's really going on start to come through. Really, really good. Really good.
What? I'm good. I just had an itch in the corner of my eye.
The book is so good. Read it. It's a reason it was my number 2 read of the year.
Okay.
Okay, then last but not least, this is a popular one, but there's a reason it's popular, and there's definitely a reason it made my top 23. And you, viewers, and Jessica should read it. And that is Mile High by Liz Tomford. This is about Xander's and Stevie. Xander's a hockey player, and he prides himself basically on being a man whore. Like, just, it's who he is, and he doesn't care. Like, that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
He is fun, and he is very flirtatious with Stevie. Stevie could care less that he is a hockey player superstar. In fact, that's actually a turnoff for her. Stevie does have, it is like a curvy girl situation, but it is done very well. Stevie struggles with self-esteem issues, but it's relatable, and it's not thrown in your face where you're like, oh my gosh, this again. It's written really, really, really well. So kudos to Liz Tomford for capturing those feelings and emotions and doing it justice.
Mm-hmm.
So they have some awesome banter. They have some real conversations. Xander's does funny stuff, like Stevie is the flight attendant on their private hockey jet, that like the team jet that flies them to all their games. She works all of those shifts, and he will sit there and ring the flight attendant button and specifically ask her for her, and then for her to do like really dumb stuff just to try and get her attention, just to get under her skin a little bit in a fun way. So this is their story. Absolutely loved it. Liz Tomford's writing is phenomenal. And again, there is a reason this series is so popular and that people love it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Those are your 6.
Okay.
Big books.
So, what book are you going to read from your 6?
Well, Jessica, I would like to tell you that I have picked it, but this was hard. I really, really want to read all of them.
Yes.
Some definitely stand out more than others. And so then when you first started talking, I'm like, I'm going to read Veiled in Hate. Like, I want to read that. And I'm like, no, I want to read the Mindfuck series. Then I'm like, no, I want to read Time Out. And then I'm like, oh, but I have to read Unseen Messages. She's been talking about that book for like a year, and it was her number 1 read. So this is what I'm going to do, Jessica.
You tell me.
Pick a number between 1 and 10 for me.
4.
A random number. Huh?
4.
4. Okay. Never mind. I'm going to read the Mindfuck series.
What does the 4 have to do with anything?
Well, I was going to have you pick a number from 1 to 10, and then I was going to start at the bottom of the list and count up. Yeah. And then it landed on a different book, and I'm like, no, that helped me decide. I want to read the Mindfuck series, so I'm going to read that.
Okay.
Then I will be reading most of these. I know you love Fear Me, Love Me. I'm not 100% sold on it yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's really good.
I mean, you've only read one Lilith Vincent, so you might need to read one of the other ones, the one that you got from her, first, just to kind of get in the mindset, and then maybe go into that one.
I don't have time to be doing these videos or anything else. I have too many books to read.
But don't fear, guys. We still are doing the videos. She just does this to me every once in a while. This was your idea.
Books to read.
Okay, so
Okay.
Good to know. Okay, so the list you gave me is equally as good, obviously.
Which big boy are you picking?
Huh?
Which big boy are you picking? They're all really big books. I didn't realize that. I just went through my list of the ones that you hadn't read, and as I'm pulling them off the
Yeah.
shelf, I'm like, oh, this is another big one. Oh, another
And the
big one.
majority of them do not have audio yet either. So it's not like I could do that. So
Redeeming Love does have audio.
yes, I know that because I actually have it on my Kindle.
That might be the only one.
I know. Which that's the one that I'm going to read. Not because the audio, it's because I really want to. And I think it's because it's something different than what we would normally read. Not that we wouldn't read Christian romance, not that we aren't Christians, that we wouldn't do that. But it's just something outside of the norm. And, you know, I'm all about me a good brothel. What do you say? What do you call it? What in Jesus? Brothels in Jesus? Isn't that what you call it?
Brothels in Jesus. What more could you want? Is what I've
Who
said.
doesn't want to read brothels in Jesus? So I want to go with that one. You've talked about it since the beginning of last year, and I've never watched the movie. I know you said there's a movie. I haven't watched the movie either, but
the movie is good.
Yeah, I want to read this one. So we're gonna do Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers.
Okay.
Okay. All right, guys. So we'll be back here in a few days, and we'll see how we liked them.
So, Jessica, how did you like Redeeming Love?
I loved it. It was so good. It was long. I listened to the audio, and I kept thinking, well, what else is going to happen? Because like we've kind of done it all, and then no, she goes and does it again. She does it again. But I loved it. I love the message behind it. I love the story, and I like, even though it was a Christian romance, you know that there are sexy scenes. They're just closed door sexy scenes, and that's really all I need. I need to know that people are getting it on. Other than that, I'm good. So tell me I give it 5 stars. So go read it.
Good.
Okay, so tell me about the Mindfuck series.
I liked it a lot. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely different. And when I was reading it while we stayed at the hotel, and our hotel was set up in this, it was a really different style hotel room.
Yeah.
Where there was one bed like in what you would think of as the normal hotel room layout. And then on the other side of the bed were a few stairs up to another room where the other bed was.
And that's where I slept.
Sleeping in a dark room all alone when you're reading about serial killers, it's not a good idea.
Probably not.
So if you don't like stuff like that, I would not recommend this series. But because it's a lot of on-page detail, and our main character has had a lot of trauma that is also slowly throughout the 5 books replayed. So if you don't like stuff like this is not a book where you could just skip those parts, because it's so embedded throughout the whole thing, and that's like what the whole book is basically about. So I gave it 5 stars. I would not want to like read it again anytime soon. But I really enjoyed it.
Good.
It was really good.
Yeah, it's really good. But she does have a lot of trauma, and there is a lot of stuff on page. That was the first time I think I was reading stuff like that where I was like, ooh, don't know if I like this, but
yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I'm definitely reading something lighter right now to kind of recover.
Do that palette.
I had something else that was darker on my list, and I'm like, nah, gonna skip around on my list a little bit. Yeah. I'm trying really hard to stick to that TBR.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad one of us is. Okay, guys. So that is what we have here. There is our convincing our besties. So tell us, I don't know, Mandy, what do you want them to tell us?
Well, tell us which one of these books that you're going to read.
Yeah.
Which is going on your TBR.
12. We have 12.
And then make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.